few make sick claim against Christians, censor and insult Jesus. To be a Christian today means that you could be the target of mocking, insults, oppression, and discrimination. Once again, Christians are being oppressed and mentally tortured, or this is just the beginning of the real torture that is prepared from the global liberal elites and their conspiracies. However, the executioners of the propaganda ideological tasks in the liberal agenda are mostly the celebrities in the mainstream media. The harpies from The View have found themselves in hot water after they insulted every Christian with their scandalous narrative. They censor Christianity. They censored the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. King Politics reported about this, and this story is going viral. Please share our story. We need to fight against the oppression against Christians and white Americans. The women were talking about a study that says many Christian citizens in the U.S. wanted to overlook 4 of the 10 Commandments when host Paula Faris explained how she was taught in her home when she was a kid. My parents were really strict about what we said in the home. We couldn't say, "Oh my God." We couldn't say Jesus Christ. We couldn't say Jesus. She said, but the name Jesus was censored unless you were praising him, she said. And then you could say Jesus, and again, The View censored the name. And this is not everything. The View had a turbulent week. This comes right after Joy Behar started a racist rant earlier this week, reports King Politics. This is what she said. They're blaming the fact that maybe they don't have a good income on their life, or their life has not treated them well. They're blaming it on discrimination, but it might be about something else. Maybe you haven't had opportunities to go to college, or you're stuck in a rut, said Behar. It's easy, I guess, for people to blame something they can look at, but it's basically being a victim, and victimhood is not helpful. Victimhood is I'm blaming somebody else for my problem. Watch the video below. The discrimination against white people. New poll says over half of white Americans say they were discriminated against their race. There is discrimination against their race, we discuss.
We're talking about bullying before, but apparently the latest group who feels bullied are white people. 55% of them say they believe there's discrimination against white people in America. But when asked for specific examples, they couldn't quite say what they thought it was. So, what do you think white people are worried about in terms of being discriminated against?
I'm very confused by it.
I'm not asking you.
The white girl.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
We have to have 3, so I thought maybe y'all would have some insight.
Well, ever since Lincoln freed all those white people, I think that they're blaming the fact that maybe they don't have a good income or their life has not treated them well. They're blaming it on discrimination, but it might be about something else. It might be, you haven't had opportunities to go to college, or you're stuck in a rut, or you're working in coal mining where the jobs are going out the window. And so it's easy, I guess, for people to blame something that they can look at or something like that. But it's basically being a victim, and victimhood is not helpful. Victimhood only is I'm blaming somebody else for my problem. But this particular thing has nothing to do with being white. When you walk into a bank, you will get a loan more easily if you are a white guy.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, the entire Congress, practically 100% of it is white. They are running the country.
Yeah.
The corporations are run by white men. Television is run by white guys.
That's something I want to ask.
So
Do you
where's the
think that there is?
discrimination?
I don't know.
Well, my question is, do you think if you break it between men and women, that white women would say the same thing? I think they will. I think white women could tell you how they were discriminated against.
As women, maybe.
As women,
Yeah.
well, yeah. So I'm wondering if if that changes the equation at all.
I think there is one group of people, and we were talking about this in the meeting, that, and it's more socioeconomic than race, but there is a group of people that are many white, unemployed people that I think they're tired of being told they have privilege when they're like, I can't feed my family, I can't do anything, which is just a distinction in poverty versus people with money. But the other time is I was trying to really dig deep and play the let me walk in the shoes of these statistics. Have I ever been discriminated against? One time I do feel it, and this is not in comparison to slavery or anything vast, but in my own life, one time the times I do discover it, or when I try to chime in intellectually on like a movement, like let's say Black Lives Matter, and I'm saying in this instance, I think the messaging or the strategy of this is not the right move. If I just disagree on the slightest bit or chime in, people are like, you don't understand, you're white, and they excuse you intellectually, even though anyone that's white talking about those things can disclaim, I have never walked in these shoes, but I do have a brain and I'm an ally. I want to talk about it. You know, like,
you're disagreed with and your opinions don't count. It's not quite the same as discrimination.
Well, discrimination is just an unjust treatment based on a difference in race, age, sex. In that situation I'm describing, I am being discriminated. And I'm not saying that I feel the pain every day of this. I'm just saying I find it frustrating when I'm trying to join a conversation as an ally, and I can't critique anything because I'm white.
But I think Chris Rock said it best. Even though he's a rich black man, the poorest white man would never trade places with Chris Rock. Because being black in America, you are the most discriminated group in the
I am not comparing, just to be clear.
I get your point. I mean, I've never been told I can't have an apartment because I'm white, for example, or I can't live in this neighborhood because I'm white.
55% is more than half, which I think it's much more than I would have expected. I just want to read this, end on this quote. Tim Lustig of Maryland said, because you're white, you're automatically thrown into that group as being a bigot and a racist, and that somehow you're perceived yourself as being more superior to everybody else, which is ridiculous. This man is quoted on the record saying
I understand that, but now maybe white folks will understand how we feel when people generalize about us. We'll be right back.
Let's see, some commandments are obsolete.
The 10 Commandments were set in stone thousands, millions, and hundreds and zillions of years ago. But some people are wondering if a little editing is in order. Don't hit me, God. Not me. In order for the world we live in now. So some people think we need to lop a few commandments off. They would like to lose, just saying, don't worship idols.
Okay.
Don't take the Lord's name in vain.
Oops.
Only 38% say that. Worship no other God and keep the Sabbath day holy. Less than 1 in 3 say this is important.
And this was a poll conducted by British Christians. These were Christians that were saying that. This was the number that got me, that 94% still believe that stealing and killing are important. I want to know about the 6% that think stealing is okay.
Crazy to me.
That means okay.
They're the 10 Commandments, not the 10 suggestions.
Yes.
Like you're supposed to. I mean, I grew up a Catholic girl. You're supposed to follow the commandments. I mean, they're not only, I think, the basis of our Christianity, Christian faith, but also of the law. Like when you study law, they talk about the commandments and sort of right and wrong and how you see it in biblical times as well. So I don't know how you lop any of them off.
Well,
So which one do you get rid of?
10 was already being a little skimpy. I mean, if you only have 10 to live by. But some of these I don't think I realized were commandments, and I was maybe I'm getting a
I
little
am the
rusty.
Lord thy God, and thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Well, that too, but
That's what that, don't, you know.
using the Lord's name in vain. My mom used to say that all the time. I've gotten a little rusty on that, but I didn't realize I was.
Do you? Do you say, oh my God? Or, oh my gosh?
Just when I'm excited.
I don't
My
think
sister
that's
gets
what
mad at me.
I don't think that's what they mean.
When they say like
G, yeah.
Do you think part of this just is a societal thing that we seem to have like gone back so much on what is ethical, what is moral? When I was growing up, I also went to Catholic school, I grew up Baptist. I always thought I was going to hell. Like Catholic guilt is a real thing. Like I always was like, I would always think I'm going straight to hell because I'm thinking about a hot guy. Like
you're going to hell. Where do you think I'm going?
So, I mean,
Catholics are very good at that.
same
But
way
I
about
will
that.
say, when I was
Feel good.
the best piece of advice I ever got, my dad told me this when I was 15, and I live by it, and everyone in my family lives by it. He said, "Don't lie, cheat, or steal. Everything else is fair game." And I think that's actually the commandments that if all of us just stuck by, it might make life a little bit easier.
6%. The commandments that John
But
McCain
you're
has
doing the
learned.
right thing, because one of the 10 Commandments says thou shalt honor thy mother and father.
That's
That
right.
too.
That
So
one's
you're
not
listening to
negotiable.
But there
your
are things
dad.
like, I mean, you know, not to get too TMI, but like if you're having sex before marriage, that's a big one. You know?
That's
And
not
like,
That's not
the
in the
intent.
Commandments.
but it's
Not in
still,
the-
but when you go to Catholic school,
The 10
but when you go to Catholic school, that's a very big no-no.
What they here's the thing about Catholic school, because I also went. I know Catholic school in the early '60s and how it was in the '70s is very, very different. Because when John the 23rd decided that he needed people to understand that the Catholic Church recognized that there would be shifts in things. You had that ability to make those decisions and say, you know what, I think I'm going to go this way. And once we took this idea that you had to have 400 children out of the equation, I think people felt a lot better. But now I think the most important thing is, you know, if you're a Christian, if you're not a Christian, if you're just a human being, a lot of these are great to live by. Just as a human being, treating each other well.
You have to think about people, you know, that's a good one. It's like any rule as a parent, you're just trying to protect your child. And at the end of the day, I think that's what a lot of these commandments, and the great thing about the Bible and God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. I have a funny story though about taking the Lord's name in vain. You know, my parents were really strict about what we said in the home. Like we couldn't say, oh my God. We couldn't say JC, we couldn't say G. My son, you know, I know.
Yeah.
We could say G's.
You could say G's, but not.
Sus.
Yes,
Yeah.
unless you were praising him, and then you could say. But my son,
that's
you know,
freaky.
we implement
This
in our
is
home. We
freaky.
don't say, oh my God. You can say, oh my gosh, or oh my goodness. And my 3-year-old came up to me, he goes, Mommy, I know the F word. And I was like, oh God. And he goes, the F word is oh my God. I was like, all right. He knows it's wrong well. I got it well. But yes.
Gotta love a kid.
I know.
Gotta love a kid.
I also know these commandments, like you said, they're universal in all doctrines of major religions. And I think as long as we try and lead some kind of moral code, I think no matter what lens you view God and the
But some people
afterlife,
don't
it's fine.
believe in God, and that's okay too. But it doesn't keep you from being a human being.
And even
So
if you
there
don't
are
believe in
ways
God, there's still
on leading a good.
even if you don't believe in God, there's still valid, I think, commandments.
yes,
You
right?
should not
that's
kill.
what I'm
You
saying.
should
You
not
shouldn't kill
steal.
people. You shouldn't lie.
That's good.
Well,
Trying to think about saying. I
Let's-
need that.
Nobody at this table should talk about lying. Ever. The 10 Commandments.
That's freaky that they bleeped out the word Jesus. I'm very shocked at that. I wouldn't have known because I don't watch them. What do you think should the patriotic organizations and communities start? An initiative for The View to be canceled? Well, The View displays racist and discriminative behavior and mostly disrespectful and ignorant. Most of the hosts work on some kind of their own anti-American agenda. That's why this fully biased show shouldn't even exist. Share this if you agree. But they're not in control of the bleeping out of Jesus. I think the producers are involved in this. I don't know. This is very strange to bleep out the word Jesus. Why would you do that? If they were talking about Muhammad, would they bleep out the word Muhammad? If they were talking to Muslims, the people working behind the scenes, because they didn't bleep it out themselves, even though, you know, they're a bunch of nut jobs, these hosts on The View. But that's very strange. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.